Thank you very much. First, let me thank you, Congressman Vesey, for yielding for your tireless work to defend civil rights and justice. Also to Congresswoman Plaskett, thank you for continuing to speak out, to organize us, and for your stellar representation of your district. Mr. Speaker, in his first week as president, Donald Trump advanced dangerous conspiracy theories and enacted a Muslim ban that undermines our nation's standing in the world. These actions show that President Trump will peddle his alternative facts no matter the consequences. Now, let me be clear. This approach to governance threatens our democracy and our national security, and we must resist it. For starters, we cannot allow President Trump to erode our right to vote. Access to the ballot box is the cornerstone of American democracy. Yet he spent his first week in office peddling the baseless myth that 3 to 5 million people voted illegally in our election. Mr. Speaker, nothing could be further from the truth. Both Republicans and Democrats have dismissed this myth as unsubstantiated. But the president continues to insist that millions of fraudulent voters cost him the popular vote. Let's call this what it is. This is a campaign by our highest elected officials to fabricate reasons why he lost the majority of popular votes. And he will use these blatant falsehoods to further undermine access to the voting booth. Mr. Speaker, this investigation that's being proposed, it really is a sham. The real attack on America's elections comes from Republicans who make it harder for people of color, young people, and low-income people to vote. I ask for unanimous consent that an editorial from the New York Times be submitted for the record. The voter fraud fantasy.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If he were serious about protecting access to the ballot, he would join members of the Congressional Black Caucus in our call for the restoration of the Voting Rights Act. Since it was gutted in 2013, millions of minority voters have been prevented from casting their votes. Last year alone, hundreds of thousands of minority voters were disenfranchised before and on Election Day. Instead of launching investigations based on alternative facts, President Trump should be investigating the widespread efforts to disenfranchise voters, including the use of outdated voting machines, the mishandling of provisional ballots, the improper purging of voter rolls, and the widely reported incidents of intimidation and misinformation at the polls. These are the true threats to our democracy. If these threats are not enough to occupy President Trump's attention, he should turn to the widespread evidence of Russian interference in our elections. The facts are available and in need of bipartisan investigation, but President Trump has no interest in evaluating facts. He'd rather focus on falsehoods. But the president's attack on our democracy, these attacks aren't restricted to these alternative facts about election results. This weekend, we witnessed the erosion of another American value, our proud tradition as a refuge for immigrants of every religion. The president issued an executive order banning immigrants and refugees from the United States on the basis of religion. This outrageous executive order to shut people out from several Muslim nations runs counter to our fundamental values that we cherish as Americans. It's morally reprehensible and will only make the United States less safe. The order has done nothing but create chaos and fear among refugees and immigrants who have been admitted or have been approved to come to the United States. This nation is and has been and always will be a nation of immigrants and refugees. This is who we are. We don't turn our back to those in need, and certainly we do not do so on the basis of religion. This is a watershed moment for our country, a moment that brings into question our moral character. Thousands of Americans took to the street to protest the Muslim ban. Really, this is what the resistance must look like. Tonight, many of us joined our colleagues on the steps of the Supreme Court to demand a reversal of this hateful policy. So we will continue to fight every attempt to erode our values to appease ideology and radical special interests. Our new bill, Statue of Liberty Values Act, also known as the SOLVE Act, this bill would reverse President Trump's Muslim ban executive order and ensure that funds or fees shall be used to implement the order, shall not be used to implement the order. And so I hope everyone signs on to Congresswoman Loughran's bill. the president's order. It harms our families, our economy, and our national security. Once again, this is not who we are as a nation. We are better than this. We must wake up and fight, because really the future of our democracy is at stake. So I want to thank you both for giving us a chance to talk about this tonight. My district is a district of immigrants. People are very afraid. We are a sanctuary district, and what is taking place now is totally un-American. Thank you again.